you hear the drum, Carter's back to see Lord podcast.
There it is.
So everybody, Carter has not been here for a while, and I am Teza. And so with season 3, I thought it was all going to be myself, but here you are, you're visiting us. How nice to have you,
here.
Carter, on the couch.
Here you go.
So a lot's happened since you were here. We sold the boat.
We sold the boat.
And we have new plans and new goals. And we're fresh back from Virginia Beach, where we were, I podcasted from up in Virginia talking about the conference we were at. And do you want to say?
We had a great time. It was
anything about that?
It was good. There's a lot of wonderful people, and it's refreshing kind of to be around people of one mind and of one consciousness, of trying to be in tune with the cosmos on the one hand and be part of the big picture, and at the same time being 100% aware of our individuality and the choices we have and our free will to be separate but part of the whole at the same time. It's the part of the mystery. It's great.
An extraordinary experience to be with hundreds of people who have that same feeling. And fortunately, in this day and age, the press doesn't give it that much attention, but there are so many different groups of not just hundreds of people, but thousands of people meeting and doing spiritual work.
There's a lot.
Prayerful work, light work.
My guess is if we haven't reached the tipping point, we're close. That'd be my guess.
We reached the tipping point back in the 80s. That was what the harmonics convergence was about. And this has all been, the age of Aquarius, man. We're changing. We're transforming.
Well,
it's just a lot of people just don't realize it, though, because they're not involved in that world. But, the kind of people who listen to our podcast, they're involved.
Well, certainly in subterfuge and under the radar because of all the outwardly all the stuff that's going on in the media is not very positive.
Well, that's why. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat today.
I think that will be
overcome
soon.
I want to finish this thought. Instead of everybody talking about divisiveness, which we even have done in recent days, I think we're turning over a leaf, and we're going to concentrate on talking and sharing about how unity and peace is really our focus. And the more we talk about it, the more we spread it,
and
the
there's
more
a lot
it
of
becomes
people
reality.
involved in it. A lot. It's all over the place.
Well, so how are you, Carter?
And particularly at the Edgar Cayce place.
How are you involved? Oh, because you're an Edgar Cayce person.
Well, I'm working on it all the time.
You were born into Edgar Cayce philosophy.
I was.
You are, so it's part of your DNA.
But you say, how am I doing? And I'm trying to be aware of when I'm being negative, or when I'm not seeing things in a particularly embracing, for lack of a godly way, I guess you'd say, in a divine way, trying to recognize everybody as parts of the whole, and children of God, and recognizing them, everyone,
even the people who cause conflict and problems. Yeah. So what do you do with people who cause conflict and problems?
Well, here's an example.
You just accept them,
Here's
right?
a great example. A friend of ours who house got vandalized terribly, completely destroyed. The whole house went in. They turned it completely upside down.
Do I know about this? Wait.
No, you don't know about this. And they caught these people. And they have them down at the police station.
Here in this town?
No,
in our town?
No, it's in Louisiana. But they've been... They've lawyered up. They've given them free lawyers, and so now begins the long process of bringing them to justice, which probably won't be very much justice based on what they did. But the thing about it is, the first thing is you get angry and mad and say, "Oh, these terrible people," and they are certainly out of line, and certainly it's a terrible thing. But the real bottom line is they're just mentally sick, and they're just off balance. They're doped out. They're methed out, and they're just have had bad circumstance in life, and they've made bad choices, and this is the result.
Well, this has been happening since the beginning of time. I mean, people like that have to be prosecuted and go to jail, and so I'm talking about not just criminals. I'm talking about like a best friend who all of a sudden jilts you, or all of a sudden the president does another thing that makes people feel very uncomfortable. You know, I'm not talking about criminals. I'm talking
Which
about
president?
well,
all the presidents
in
do
this
it.
in this current state, 2026. I mean, a lot of people are very uncomfortable. So my way of dealing with this is to not focus on all these disruptions, but to focus on what I truly believe is happening, that we're in a state of transformation. And it's uncomfortable, yes, it's we don't know where it's going, but I truly feel it's going to a higher place, a better place, a healthier place, a more understanding place,
So where's the evidence?
more compassionate place. Where's the evidence?
Where's your evidence?
It's in my heart, and it's in the smiles of people I see and people I talk to. There's many people who feel like this.
Yeah,
that,
I agree.
That we're going through
It is in the smiles of the people. I see it all the time.
An uncomfortable growing stage.
Somebody was talking about it the other day. Somebody who was kind of bewildered by it. They say, God, it's amazing. How everybody, where you go, people seem to be so happy. And I think this is what I'm reading in the newspaper that's happening with this World Cup thing, and all the people that are here from other countries are shocked at how friendly the Americans are. They're having a good time over here.
Right.
And apologizing for thinking badly of us from reading the paper and saying, Jesus.
It's true. If your world revolves around what you see either on the paper or on social media, then you're in for a big surprise when you get out there and start living life. Because I know lots of people who are addicted to social media. They just sit there all day and they think that that's what is happening.
There's a lot of people that aren't addicted to it too.
Yeah, and they're just living their life.
A lot of people have shut it off.
And they don't even want to know, because a lot of it has to do with how popular you feel, or, oh, I didn't get invited to that party. Oh, I don't have those kind of clothes. I don't have those kind of nails. And it's just, it creates a sense of shame and guilt for a lot of it. But, you know, used in small doses, it's very helpful, especially for people like me. I mean, I have some books to show people and art and everything, and you have films. I mean, it's useful for distributing information. But anyway, getting back to focusing on positives. And so we're not going to talk about how divisive things are anymore. We did that years ago. I think this is our 7th year of podcasting, Carter.
Oh, yeah?
And we have evolved since we started. Even if you're just a guest today, but, you know, it's changed, because when we first started, we dedicated our trip, our sharing of Z Lord podcast pretty much to our travels and how great it was to be in nature.
Yep, we were traveling through.
And then the pandemic came, and we went into the inner journey. We started talking about that sensation of feeling connected to that safe place called home inside yourself, God or peace or whatever you want to call it. And then we expanded into trying to help heal the divide. We did a lot on that. I mean, almost a year of talking about, you know, how we need to share more with people who have opposing views. And so now I think with this new season of podcasting, I think it's time for us to focus on the light, the positive, the stuff that will, by its own nature of healing, it will bring in whatever we need.
So how do you plug in?
But let me finish my sentence.
Right.
It will bring in whatever we need to either heal or fulfill or to change. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Like, we meditate. We're meditators. And we had a group the other night, and we dedicated our chanting and meditation as a group. There were about 30 of us, to the peace and unity of this world. And so that's not just like a bunch of money that we send to you know, like a cause, but it's energy. It's invisible energy. Like thought is energy, like prayer is energy, like sending out, you know, positive as opposed to negative thoughts. And so I was just telling the group before we began our exercises of chanting and meditating that wherever there is need of healing, we can ask the energy to go there. I mean, like, so let's say individually, I might have, like right now, I've got a sore throat, probably from too much chanting. And so I need some energy in my throat. Well, I'm not going to just drum up some stuff called throat energy. I just work with energy. You know, I mean, you pray, you say some thoughts out into the universe, or you create energy with meditation and you don't have thoughts, but you work with that energy. And people who do Reiki and hands-on healing, they don't have to be told about this. They can actually feel it. I'm not that sensitive. I can't really feel, you know, like somebody's aura. I don't see auras, but I do believe in the unseen power of positive thinking. I know you do too. And so whether we need the positive healing in our own bodies, or if our bodies are in good shape, we can share that energy that we create with our mental focus to other people who might need it. A sickness, a divorce, like you said, and people getting their things
So do you see or feel the results, or you just trust?
Oh yeah, no, I feel the results. Absolutely, absolutely.
Feel the results in your throat from healing your throat?
I just realized I had a sore throat when we started talking into the machine. I didn't realize because I've been working in my studio on my latest book for the last couple of hours and I haven't said a word. So yes, I can put some thought into that, and I'll get back to you in an hour, and I'll let you know.
Okay.
But also things like gargling help with seawater. You know, I do physical things too. You know, I'm not just going to put all my hope into just invisible prayer.
It reminds me.
So why don't you give me an
Edgar
example?
Casey made a comment when World War II was going on. He made the comment in one of his reading discussions with people, or it came from the source of the energy, the source of the information that he had access to, that a small handful of people could affect the entire course of the war just by praying about it and what they thought about it, and sending just what you're talking about, this invisible energy, which is very easy to ridicule and not to take seriously, or not to think that it exists, or think it's just some kind of la-la stuff. It's easy to not to poo-poo that stuff, but it's interesting that that's what he said. And he said, I think he was even talking about that particular group that was in that room. And there was only 45 or 50 of them. Says if we can get ourselves in the right frame of mind, we can affect the outcome of the war just by our prayers and what we're doing here. And that's how powerful the human spirit is. So you're talking about something that is invisible and untouchable, and that is a part of the ether, but it's real.
It's real.
Which brings us to the three aspects of our world, which is the mind, the body, and the spirit. The mind is the builder, the mind being our thoughts and what we think and what we create in our mind, and the body is the physical manifestation of what we think and how we act, and how our resentments or our kindnesses are. And then the spirit is our life, is our energy, is our enthusiasm. That's the life. So these three things, according to the people at this conference, are equal. And it's easy. Oftentimes the church and the Christian world will downplay the body, saying, oh, the body's no good, and all the sin and the lust and all that crap, and we have to raise it all up, and belittling the body. And the Casey material teaches that no, the body is the tool we've been given to work with, and is just as important as the spirit, which is linked with God, and our mind, which is our creative force and what creates what we do and how we think and all these things. And then so that all three of them are all three in one, which is, again, that whole triune thing that exists in the Christian church anyway, probably in a whole bunch of other churches too. Sure. But the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, and the all that stuff. So all those things are
The
the
commonalities
invisible things.
of all the great religions of the world are pretty much based on the golden rule. I mean, they're all, they start off meaning well, and religion, to me, the purpose of religion, I don't really call myself a religious person. Since I was a kid, I was a very religious kid, and but then I just had other yearnings. I wanted to find other answers, and so I expanded my search outside of the realm of religion and found it more in spirit by actually experiencing with meditation, with actual life experiences. And one of the biggest, as we started off saying, was to be with other people who have this belief.
Yeah,
And when we're with
that's powerful.
and when we're with people who say, "Oh, that's a bunch of hogwash and all that," that's an opportunity to have a conversation. It doesn't have to be just about politics. This divisiveness that a lot of people are feeling these days. I mean, a lot of people, I think, are scared because they've put their trust in politics, and that is being shattered, left, right, and center. And if you don't have, it's just like Peggy Noonan said a couple of essays ago. She's so great. If anybody doesn't know Peggy Noonan, she's featured every Friday on the Wall Street Journal. She said, as we go into this next, period of time in all of humanity, not just here in America, but if you don't have a belief in God, you're pretty much going to be screwed. She said it in those words.
She did.
She said, if you don't have a belief in God, get it. Those were her words. And it doesn't mean a religious belief. And God is, as a euphemism, really, good, orderly direction. It just means that there's a power greater than us or what we could even believe in. And it is not politics, folks. It is not what party is in power.
Politics.
No.
And it's definitely not, it's not very finite with rules. I mean, once the humans get involved and start making rules and say, "Oh, this is what he said," but now we're going to add these things on because we think this is really what it should be. As soon as that starts, then the whole thing gets fuddled up, and the beauty of it and the essence of it can easily become tainted. And so we all always have to watch out for that, to not be buffaloed by somebody who's got an agenda and who thinks things should be a certain way. And if you don't believe it this way or that way, you're going to hell, or you're out of here, or you can't be part of the party, or you can't come to the game, or whatever it is. The minute that starts, you're in the wrong spot. So.
Well, I know myself by teaching girls in prison where the control issue is huge. In prison, there's always the big kahuna, whether it's male or female prison. In this case, they were teenage girls. Or they were the ones who were being controlled. And so I came in to teach what they called empowerment techniques, which is basically yoga, meditation, breath, tuning out the garbage. And I realized that you're either in this game of control or be controlled, or you are exploring your spiritual life. That's pretty much the choice. And people who don't like being controlled, but they are controlling themselves, they're going to have just as hard a time with developing a spiritual life as somebody who just is a denier, So there's many different choices in life, and I think that's what we're talking about here. But we choose to be with people who have a higher-minded, a more open-minded, concentrating on positive rather than going over and over and over about the bad times that we're
choosing that these days, but we didn't always choose that. It's a journey.
Well, I think it's got a lot to do with where we're at in our political situation. It's not just because of our age, Carter. It's because of the here and now. This is where we got here because of stuff that happened, in previous, not just generations, but elections. I'm talking about the unrest among the population. And I think that's the main cause of it. I can see that this is happening for a good cause because it's upsetting so many people that they're being forced to, like Peggy said, get into God or else you're going to have a real hard time dealing with what's happening in this world. I mean, you just will.
Well, you know, it's interesting because 50 years ago, there was a lot higher percentage of people that went to church and were involved in some sort of a religious situation. So they were getting a lot of that in their daily life, whether it was 100% perfect or not. They were getting a lot of it. And nowadays, there's massive amounts of people that don't have any relationship with anything. And my take on the political thing is, I don't think really at the end of the day, it's not that much different than it's ever been. There's always been anger. There's always been people not agreeing. It was much more polite when Walter Cronkite was running the thing and when we were coming up.
I'm sorry.
Well, what about 1776 when all that was going on?
We're at a place, Carter, where it's like, get our shit together, or, you know, suffer the consequences with the environment, with people having nuclear armament, with the pollution in the water, the air, the ozone. It's a lot different than it was hundreds of years ago, or even 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago. So, I mean, we're at a very crucial time of consciousness, of forcing people to change their consciousness, because if we keep going the way we're going, with people not understanding that the environmental challenge is for each and every one of us, starting in a home. You know, how much waste, how many times do you go shopping, how many new things do you have to have? It all starts with just little tiny decisions like that. And then we have these huge results, which are overcrowded highways and pollution spewing cities. And, you know, we're in a different place entirely. Now, the actual...
Disagree, but okay.
Well, that's okay. You're you and I'm me. We're not here to just say, oh, yes, darling, you're so right. No, that's why people love to listen to podcasts, because, you know, it's stimulating. So we're not asking you to just go along with either side right now. But the one thing that Carter and I truly always agree on is, number one in life is the divine, the sacred.
That's right.
That's the most important. So for me, the most important way to manifest the divine and the sacred is not by going to church, but by being aware of the issues, like the environment, by being peaceful, by being calm, by smiling to your neighbor instead of scowling and giving the finger like we got on the highway yesterday because of aggression. You know, there's rage everywhere.
Well, going to church is good too. You get in church.
Going to church is okay.
Some situation where there's
for people who like
like-minded people and prayers and prayer situations. That's good to remind and
it's
daily
okay. It's one of many choices.
The Sabbath and keep it holy and all that stuff. It's important, but it just isn't so much of it now as there used to be. But I think that the disagreement in the politics, as bad as it is
it's always been there.
It's always been there.
Yes, I'm not saying
one of the things that's happening is the world has changed in that the internet is now, everybody gets a chance to give their own opinion.
Right.
Nobody had a chance to give their own opinion when Walter Cronkite was on TV. There wasn't a chance to give your opinion. Now anybody can say any damn thing they want anytime.
But
and they love it.
And people love listening to it because, oh my God, being a podcaster, I'm the one in charge of all the technical stuff, not Carter. So I'm always experimenting with what's happening out there in the rest of the podcasting world. And the number one thing that I see happening in the podcasting world is more people hungry for mindfulness, being calm. How do I deal with mental strife? How do I get out of worry, fear?
So here's how.
Tell us, Father Carter.
Here's a thought. The number one thing that was the number one thing going on up at the Congress that we were just at was that to be aware, one of the main concepts is that we all act on our ideal and what we think is important. And most of us are not aware that we even have an ideal, or what that ideal is, or that we can articulate it. So one great exercise is to spend some time trying to get clear about what is your ideal. Like, for instance, an ideal might be to act like as the Buddha would act.
Or act loving
Or
in all circumstances.
Make sure you're kind, that you bring kindness in every circumstance, or that you look for the peace, or that you look out for the other guy, or any of those type of things, or do as Jesus would do in every situation, or have the Christ consciousness in your consciousness. But there's a lot of different ways to think about it, and we're all different. But the main thing is to become aware of what it is you're working towards, and for me to be aware of what I'm working towards. And once I know what that is and can articulate it, and whenever situations arise, which are the rainbow of existence, from the worst to the best, all happens a lot of times in one friggin' day. 700 things will happen, and some of them are awful and some of them are great. And how life gets better is if I'm consistent in what I'm trying to do, and what my ideal is, and what I'm trying to accomplish, and what I'm trying to be, and then just be aware of that, and then resort back to that when there are problems.
Okay, so give us an example. Those are all generalities, so talk about yourself. So what is your ideal?
Well, let's say, for instance, I've got a problem with a friend of mine, and I'm pissed off about something that
Which
happened.
does happen.
There's a particular friend that I've had a problem with, and I'm having trouble with it, and I think about it way too much, and I'm angry about some stuff that's gone down. Mm-hmm. But I know that thinking bad things and cursing him and wanting him to have bad luck and all that stuff, that's just not
That's a resentment.
That's not
good.
That's not the person that I want to be. That's not my best me. And so what I got to do is I have to take that and turn it around and not let that in.
Not easy for you, huh?
Well, in this particular circumstance, it was intense, so it's difficult.
You know why it was intense? Because I know who you're talking about. At one point, you were a great admirer of him. You were a fan of his, not just a friend. You admired him and respected him, and that was shattered.
Okay, but that doesn't...
But that makes it doubly hard than just a stranger who comes along who does something bad.
But the point is that I have a choice of how I'm going to deal with this, and the choice is mine. And whatever's going on in my mind is affecting me a hell of a lot more than it's affecting him.
For sure.
And so there's an example of that I should be aware of what. And every time I drift down into that anger, I need to say, well, now wait a second. What's my idea? What am I trying to be? Let's say I'm trying to be like the Buddha, and I'm trying to take the middle way and to be calm and to be peaceful and relaxing, but with power and strength, not be a wimp, but be steady.
Yeah.
And so then whenever that happens, then I have to come back and try to bring this thinking back into that situation.
Okay, so let's apply awareness, acceptance, action.
But let me just say this. So if I can do that, my life gets better.
Yeah, but Carter, you've been working on this for months and months and months.
I've been working on it all my life.
Okay, so...
And everybody else listening to this is working on it all their life.
So we all know that some things are harder than others, and just because they don't get remedied like overnight doesn't mean we should just forget about it.
I didn't say forget about it. On the contrary.
I'm saying you euphemistically.
I'm saying not to forget about it.
I'm saying in general, some of us just have to work harder at hard feelings to get them eradicated from our psyche.
No, but this came up when we were talking about how we're living our lives and what's going on, and I started by saying, here's a tip that I've learned lately and that I'm working on, that's in my consciousness, and this is it. is that to bring everything, make sure I know my ideal and stay aware so that when
Yeah, but
things are good or bad,
let me-
I'm working to the ideal.
let
all
me
the
just
time.
interject that I never knew what that word ideal meant until you and I decided we were going to get involved with Edgar Casey's work. So, first of all, the average person who's listening to this doesn't know what an ideal is. So let's start.
I just told him.
Let's start once again because
oh,
it's
boy.
not an idea and it's not a goal. So how is an ideal different than a goal or an idea?
Well, go ahead. You answer the question.
Well, you did just before, but it has to be, this
The
is a new
ideal is-
concept. This is a
is a
new
way-
concept. You can't just throw it out. You have to, explain it a little better, I believe. So you asked me. So I recently changed my ideal because I felt that the ideal I was working on, which was perseverance, was getting to be hard work. It's hard work to persevere. I wanted a little more joy in life, so I worked with the ideal of joy in perseverance for a while, and that felt good. That really felt good. And then after a few weeks, I said, wow, there's something still missing. I don't feel that says what I want to convey to my life path. And so during this conference, I actually worked on my ideal as the week was going on. I kept having insight. And I realized that for me, it's about spreading the light, which is all those things, because of course that takes perseverance, and of course it takes joy rather than the hard work part of perseverance to continue persevering. So my ideal now has evolved from different things at different times. Just for me, it changes pretty often. So now mine is about sharing the light with others, which is the light of love. And so for one of our members, because we have a study group, her ideal is consistently the same, year in, year out. Her ideal is love, pure and simple, love. In all circumstances, no matter what is happening, even if it's hard, and believe me, she struggles with it sometimes, but her ideal is love.
She's pretty good at it, too.
Yeah.
She comes in, man. You can feel it. She comes in and she's always smiling and she's always got love emanating from her. So she's pretty successful at it. She's paying attention.
Because she's put it in her consciousness that is the ideal that she's working for.
The way she approaches everything.
So it's not.
So that's good.
It's not a simple thing. The ideal can be very simple for some people, and then for others, it may evolve. It may change in time. It needs to be fine-tuned. It's different than a goal.
It's totally different than a goal. It's a way of traveling. It's a way of life. It's a way of making sure that that you're bringing that with you everywhere you go. So I'm just saying that, that's something that I took from the conference, and it reminded me of it all. I mean, I already knew it, but it brought it to the fore, and it's real valuable and helpful.
So I'll share what the biggest thing that I took away from the conference, which was, drum roll, oneness. We talked about and we studied and we dove into oneness. What is it? How is it manifested? How has it been throughout all of known civilization? How is it today? How has it felt individually? How has it felt nationwide and worldwide? And it's something that's very near and dear to me. My first book was called We Are One, and I just truly feel that we are all interconnected, and that's why it's so powerful when we watch our thoughts, because with the thought, if we allow any kind of a negative thought, it's not just us who gets affected by it, it's everybody. Whether it's somebody just living with us or somebody who's passing on the road and they see, oh, look at that weird face that person has, rather than a pleasant face and energy. And the oneness, people are doing a lot of research these days. The quantum physicists are proving it, that it's not just a philosophy, it's not just a spiritual concept. It is an actual physiological fact that whether you're talking about your body having oneness, I mean, your brain can send a signal and all of a sudden, that toe way down there wiggles. That's oneness. And the oneness it also manifests with us being individual little corpuscles in the body of God, and how we affect this entire thing called life with every breath we take, every act, every thought, every word.
So there you go.
So there we go. So everybody,
All right.
thanks for listening. And Carter hopefully will come back to be with us whenever he wants. You forgot to tell us what you're so busy doing these days. You've been a
Consolidating.
You've been a regular
I'm actually
podcaster for
building
6 years now. We missed you, Carter.
I'm building a little cell out in my yard where
A
I
jail
can go
cell?
off by myself and be quiet
A monk cell.
and just have a little place where I can go and be alone and quiet.
Without divorcing me.
Plus I'm starting on the next movies.
Oh.
I've cleared a whole bunch of stuff out, and we've got a whole bunch of stuff out of the way. That boat was a big effort. And
Yeah,
we
it
got
was.
that fixed. We got
A
it
dozen
done.
years
We took
worth
the
of
trip,
effort.
and it's sold. It's gone.
Yeah.
So that period is over.
To the perfect person.
now
The
we're
perfect
gonna-
person came and bought it. Thank you, Facebook Marketplace. And it was an accomplishment in 12 or 13 or 14 years. I don't know how many years we wanted to do it. We kept postponing it because we had injuries or responsibilities, kids to raise, grandkids to raise, and then we did it. And that we podcasted about it quite a bit. The tiller breaking 3 times. And then we finally, came back after 2.5 weeks, being prepared to go away for months.
There you go.
So it's a fait accompli. Okay, everybody, we love you.
All right.
And if nobody has told you yet today, I love you. Om Namah Shivaya.
All right. See you later, you guys. Here's to the bull.